Hello, Facebook. It's Ingrid Owens here. Good morning, good morning. A little later today than we usually are. It is 11 a.m. here Eastern Standard Time. So I'll give you all a minute to come on and let me know where you're calling from today. And if you're drinking a hot beverage, let me know what you're drinking. And I am going to go ahead and share my post to my group, and hopefully that will get a few of them over here. Somebody is watching. Hello, let me know. Let me share it to my group. To take 52. All right. So good morning. Good morning, people. It's Ingrid Owens here to get again today with Biz Talk Tuesday. It's what date is it? May. I'm totally confused. So today, I'm sorry I'm a little later. I've been having trouble with allergies, and my face is puffy and my eyes are itching and I want to go crazy with them. So I thought, you know what? This is my own business. I can do this however I want. So I decided I would just take my hour to get myself centered and figure out what was going on with my allergies. Hey, good morning, Wesley. Linda, how are you? Linda always checks in. Yeah, I just thought I'd give myself a minute to kind of gather myself and splash some water on my face and try and not have the puffy eyes as bad, but you can see they're kind of really puffy underneath there. No amount of makeup will hide that kind of stuff, but I am, if anybody has any tips for me about allergies, I'll totally gratefully take those as well. Right now I'm drinking some hot tea with manuka honey in there, which a student actually gave to me yesterday, so I'm very grateful for that, and I can hopefully feel that would start to working. So if you're watching the replay, go ahead and write in the comments hashtag replay, and I can answer any questions that you might have, or just say hello. I'd love to hear from you. My printer, I hope you can't hear that. My printer is decided to go a little bit crazy over there as well. Of course, these things happen when you're going live. They're not going to happen when you're just sitting here all by yourself working away. Okay, not to worry. So today we are going to talk about the topic, which this is kind of something that I get asked. I say this with all of mine, but I do get asked a lot, and it's the whole idea of should this be a hobby? My creative endeavors, should I make this a business, or should I just keep this into a hobby? And I wanted to talk about three things that I have kind of distilled that will help you make that decision, because it's true, not all people should make a hobby out of their photography, and not all people should make not all people should make a business out of their photography. If you're happy doing it as a photographer and that satisfies all of that you need, then that's okay. But you could do other things with it. You could make some money from it, and you could also just make enough money to cover the expenses of your photography. And that's something else that, I work with students on and clients on. It doesn't have to be this big, grand 6-figure business. Like, we all go into business for different reasons. Maybe it's just for pin money so that we can send the kids to extracurricular activities. Maybe it is to support the family budget, or maybe it is just something that you want to do so that it is self-supporting of your creative endeavors. And also, maybe you just, like me, just love to be in business. I mean, I've talked about this before, maybe not on this little show, but there's very little else I think I could do at this stage other than be in business for myself. That's just part of who I am. So the question is, how do you know if you should make a business out of your hobby or keep it to being a hobby? And first of all, I just like to point out, from a coaching point of view, that word should, I put it in there deliberately, but the word should, anytime you hear the should thing going on, when you're asking yourself a question, I should do something, or somebody's telling you something you should do, it's something that you really should there it is again, that is something that you really should be pay attention to, because typically it's coming from a place of you must do something, or according to somebody else you should do it, and it's not coming from a place of internal alignment and intuition and intuitive thinking. So that I kind of threw that in there, but it's hard kind of sometimes to find an alternative word for it. Maybe you could do, right? So could you make a business out of this? So the number one thing, and this was something that was brought to my attention on a podcast I was listening to recently. And if you don't listen to podcasts, I highly recommend that you do. So super easy to do on your mobile device now. Podcasts pretty much change the way that I consume information because it's so easy. But this was brought to my attention, and because it's very aligned in how I think and how most of my programs are taking this kind of a turn. And it's like, it's one thing to take photos for your own pleasure and for things that you think look right and things that you think look good. But it's a whole nother ballgame when you think about taking photos that are going to make somebody else happy. It's the same if you make brownies and you just love to make brownies and cupcakes, and you love to bake, and you love to bake because you love the process and you love to eat them and maybe you're quite happy when your family eat them, but you don't actually care if anybody else likes them or not, right? But quite often I find that people who are creative, like, they're put on this planet to create, but also to share their creativity with others. And so it is important to them what other people think of their work. And if you're not prepared to factor in that end person into your work, if you're not prepared to factor in the customer into how they perceive your art or your work, then it's probably an indication that maybe this is more of a hobby than a business. Because in a business, you have to be serving and supporting and solving a problem for a customer. And if you're not doing that, then it is really, really hard to be in business, because you really want to think about that end person in mind all the time. Okay? If you're not satisfying a need or solving a problem, then there's really no need for you to be in business. If there was no problems in this world, we would have no businesses. So even if it is just selling your artwork to go on somebody's wall, you are solving a problem. That's the problem, is that they want some beautiful artwork, and they like to take, they want photos, or they want oils, or they want canvas, or whatever it is that they want. You're able to suffice that need. But if it's something that is not in keeping with what they want, and those are the people who you're in front of, then you have a disconnect and you have a problem, and you will not be in business. So the whole key to business is to understanding what those people want, what people want, and then give them the solution to the problem. Always coming from the problem, this point of a problem in entrepreneurship, you're always coming from a point of solution. How can I be of service, and how can I be the solution to that person's need? No matter whether you're in a service-based business or whether you're in a product-based business, you always have to think about the customer first. And if you have had a problem trying to figure out who your ideal customer is, I do have a resource available, and I will put the link below to this video, which helps to kind of talk you through the different things that you might think about when you're trying to figure out who that ideal client is and how you can best serve them. Okay, so that's really, really important. If you're only wanting to create art for your own self, then that should probably stay a hobby. If you're quite content knitting like socks and hats, and everybody is just, for yourself, and you don't mind giving them away to people, and that's as far as it goes, then stick to the hobby. Probably not going to make a business out of it, because all you want to do is ever knit the same thing or knit multicolored versions of whatever. That's not going to the market and seeing what they want and trying to figure out, how you can best fill that need. Okay, so that makes sense. Putting your customer first. Okay, number two on my list is, if you don't feel like you would be willing to put in the work. Now, there's work and there's work, right? I was talking to a mentor of mine, and we were talking about, we both have online businesses, and she was saying, I don't regard my work now as work like what I used to have when I was a nurse. When I was a nurse, the hard work was going to tell somebody that, their kid had passed away, and can you sign this form so we can take their organs? Like, that's hard work, right? Being on a 12-hour shift from 7 to 7, that's like relentless kind of hard work. That's not hard work for me when I'm thinking, what I do is not hard work. When I think about helping people through their businesses, sharing my zone of genius, holding space for people, inspiring them, telling them all of the things that could be possible and how to actually get there. For me, that's not hard work. But there are parts of my business that are hard, right? Like this coming live every Tuesday morning, be it at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. But showing up today when I had allergies and I'm stuffy and I feel like I just don't want to talk to anybody. I mean, for me, that's hard. But it's not hard like being a nurse hard, or it's not hard like, digging holes hard. But it's hard in a different way. And so you've got to be able to do the work that it takes to build your business, not just do the work as in take the pictures, right? Because there is a lot more involved than just making the art. Anybody, I'm sure Linda can attest to this, like it's fun taking the pictures and it's fun doing all the things to put together the product, but the other part of the work is showing up and selling it, and doing all of the things that it takes to do to kind of pair yourself together with your ideal client. So you've got to be willing to do the work. And if you're not willing to do the work, if it just doesn't fit your time scale or your family life, you've got other things, other excuses, then it becomes a case of priorities. And if it's not a priority in your life to put that before other things, because every time you say yes to something in business or anything else, you're saying no to something else. So you're going to have to sacrifice maybe an evening in front of the TV with a glass of wine, where you might have to spend working on your bracelets or whatever. Then if you're not willing to do that, then it's probably not a business. It's not going to be a business. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is my point is sort of in relation to that second one, which is you've got to be willing to make yourself uncomfortable and to feel those uncomfortable feelings. And anybody who has ever created art or has created anything and put it out in the world to see and to be judged knows that that can be extremely uncomfortable. Like, you don't have to go very far before you can start to feel those like really uncomfortable feelings. It doesn't have to be for sale. Even putting stuff in the Take 52 group is a challenge for a lot of my clients and students in photography. So you've got to be able to push through that fear and do it anyway. And it sounds cliche, but it is so true. Because on the other side of that fear, that's the difference, right? That's where the entrepreneurship thing lies. That's where the gains can be made. Other than just, sitting doing your pictures for yourself or making your paintings just for yourself. If you're ready to share them with the world, then you have to put part of yourself out there, and you're laying yourself out vulnerable for other people to criticize and critique, and you might not like what they have to say, and that's okay, because we can't control what other people are thinking. We can only control our own thoughts, and we can only control how we interpret what they're saying and choose to take it in and make it mean something, or choose to just hear it and let it go. And that's the only way that you can deal with it. Again, like today, I did not want to come on here. I feel puffy, and I'm not like at my hair's not done, sporting a different style today. But it's okay. It's more important for me to show up for whoever is here live and for everybody else who'll see this afterwards, and to put out what I had to say, which God had put in my head that I had to share with everybody today. And hopefully somebody will hear it and it will resonate with them. And if I've made a difference to one person, it will be great. And if I've made a difference to me, that's part of the whole thing too. But I only get there from feeling uncomfortable and feeling that. And you know what? That's if that's the worst that's going to happen. Nobody's going to come through the computer and eat me. We're not dealing, as I've said before, with saber-toothed tigers, right? We're not there. So those are the three things I wanted to talk to you about. If you have any qualms about knowing, is this a business or is this just a hobby? Can you show up and please your customer, whoever that is yet? You don't even know who she is or he is, but can you show up and do work for them? If they tell you that they don't like glazed pottery, they like adult pottery, and that's what they want, and you want to be in that store, are you willing to make that change to your art, or are you only wanting to do it your way or the highway? Because I want to tell you, in business, if you're doing it your way or the highway, you might hit on some things that you will sell from here now, but you've got to figure out what it is that your customer wants and repeat that process and sell it to them. Okay? So that's number one. Number two is that you've got to be able to do the work. You've got to be able to make the sacrifices of the other things. You've only got so much time in a day, even though I do believe it expands to fit whatever you put in it. But if you make the choice and the decision that you are just going to work on your art at this time, you will have to say no to some other things. So you've got to be able to do that work. And also with that, you've got to be able to go and figure out all the hard stuff. Stuff that you don't think has anything to do with creating art, like figuring out a website and figuring out a mailing list and figuring out Facebook, right? That's not easy, right? But you can be all figure outable with the help of Google, with the help of a course, a trainer, or a coach. Like, you can figure it all out. So that's number two. And number three is that the willingness to feel uncomfortable. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. You do have to be able to put yourself out there and share your gifts to the world, especially when it's something that you've created or something that is a part of yourself. That can be tricky. And you've got to be able to feel those feelings, because they are only feelings. They're not going to, harm you. Like, you can make them mean more than they actually are. So that's all I had to share for you today. If you have a question or a comment, I would love to hear it. Go ahead and write it in the comment box. I will share that target market research. I have to stop it with my eyes. I'm sorry. I will have to sit in my hands. I will share that resource with y'all. And also, of course, if you want to talk to me, I do have 2 spots available for one-to-one coaching. I am taking on some more one-on-one clients. My last girl, a few spots rolled off over the last week or 2, so we do have some availability on that. If that's something you'd like to do, get in touch and we can chat about that. My group program is still starting from idea to business in June. If you're interested in that, I would absolutely love to talk to you about it. No pressure. It may not be for you right now. You maybe want to catch it on the next go around, but I would love to chat to you if you're interested, and I will put that link in below here as well. All right, wherever you are, I hope you are pollen free, and I wish you a great rest of the day. Thank you so much for tuning in live. Those people have tuned in. Yes, Linda, I believe there's rain coming, and I have to say, even though it will put a damper on a lot of school activities that are planned for the last bit of May, I am very excited because we've got to do something. So, all right, guys, take care. Thank you so much. Bye.